So you think you want to daily drive an old Volkswagen? Consider this before you do. Who's there? Connecting rod. That's good. So, I mean, not the worst place to break down, but the dasher broke. We're 40 minutes from Rachel's apartment, north of Syracuse, New York. We're at Lake Ontario, and literally a quarter mile away from the parking spot for this little hike. Lost an injector line on the dasher. The car made it back from Iowa, no problem. That was like 20 hours of driving. Drove it to work the last couple of days, and then drove it 3.5 hours up here to Syracuse, New York, and then another 40 minutes to the bluffs here of Lake Ontario. Lake Ontario. How else can we? Lake Ontario. Lake Ontario. It's where Ron Burgundy was actually born, in these waters. So this, I don't know what this video is going to end up being, but I'll show you guys. We'll walk up to the car in a little bit. It's like 90 something degrees the last couple of days here in New York, and brutally hot coming here in the car. It's not too bad when you're rolling, but the car doesn't have AC. I'm sure some of you guys, or plenty of you guys watching this, at least I hope plenty of you guys watching this, drive your non-AC Mark 1s to work and know what it's like. So got here, broke down, it started smelling diesel like a quarter mile away from where we were coming. And while we're on the topic of diesels, make sure you guys go check out Clint McMillan's YouTube channel. You guys might remember him from 2 different videos on the channel. He's appeared in a couple of Madness videos and whatnot, but there were 2 videos where he's in when we picked up the swallowtail from him, and then also at the same time we did a separate video just kind of showcasing him and what he's about. And he's doing these very off-the-cuff, like vlog-style videos. He did a Will It Make It Home with an old ratty F-250, absolute pile of garbage truck, and made it home. And he's got a video he just put up showing you the tour of all of his projects going on right now. So good 45-minute long video of just straight shit boxes and projects and cool shit that he's working on. So head over there, check his channel out, give him a subscription, like, comment on the videos. It helps his channel grow. It seems like that this might be something he has the time and ability to take on and hopefully become a paying job for him, as I'm trying to do with this. It's a very slow, tedious road, and let's try to help him get there sooner. I will link it in the description, and you'll see it right up at the top there. Otherwise, just search Clint McMillan. Again, just check the description. It'll be in there. I'm like, that's a very strong diesel smell, and it should not smell that strong. And then it started sputtering, and right away I knew it was a fuel leak. I was just hoping it was going to be a soft line of sorts, but no, it ended up being one of the injector lines snapped off right at the injector, which I know a little bit about because I've seen friends struggle with it, so we'll dive into that. But I have to figure out how to get home. I'm probably going to miss work at least a few days this week if I have to wait for injector lines to get shipped. I've reached out on one of the diesel groups, or the Mark 2 and Mark 3 groups, and try to find any diesel gurus in the area. I don't know too many Volkswagen people up here in Syracuse. I know 1 or 2 of you have commented in the past saying you're from this area, so I'll have to dig back and try to find you guys. I do need to find some resources up here. That's one of the benefits of this community. There's a decent chance that one of you guys watching might have injector lines, or at least just know somebody who's not really as active on social media, who has a bunch of parts ordered up or a couple parts cars laying around. Whatever, yada, yada, yada. This video is kind of going to be the downsides of owning and driving old cars. The Lotus is the newest thing I own, but that doesn't really count with me saying that the newest thing I own is an 81. And it's cool. It's very fun, fine and dandy and all until the shit breaks and you're a couple hours away from home. So, all right. We'll walk up to the car in a minute, show you guys that. Wait, say that again? No. Come on. It's content.
Not everything is content.
Yes, this is content. What am I looking at? 100% grade A ground beef.
Half mule.
Grade A heat wave ridden New York upstate Syracuse born thoroughbred pack mule right here.
Thoroughbred pack mule. Yeah.
I hear backup alarms up there.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, it'd be dope if he's up there. So Haggerty Insurance, I have them on all of my old cars, except for the Dasher. The Dasher's on my Geico everyday policy. And the reason we're out of breath is because we're like speed walking. I hear backup alarms. So Haggerty Roadside sucks. We could have been waiting here for 4 hours for a tow. I have waited that long before for a tow. And I understand it's not Haggerty directly offering their roadside service, but
half of the stuff we do is frantic.
Yeah, I'm sitting here. I stopped filming for a second. I'm like, I can't. Why am I filming this? I'm out of breath. I'm gonna have to put. I wonder if it's gone.
I know. Maybe we just can't see it.
Yeah. Well, that might have been him backing up and leaving.
Yeah. I thought about that.
Jeez, son.
That's all right.
I think.
I think so too.
It's there. It's there.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
So, I thought I heard backup. We did hear backup alarms, so I figured the tow truck was here. Oh yeah, that is him.
I'm hoping the sun went down a little bit.
A little bit. It's perfect.
Cool. As we're waiting for a tow, this old NA diesel Mercedes rolls up. I'm sitting there gawking at his car. He gets out of the car, is gawking down here at this. 2 tan babes, 2 tan shit boxes. Yeah, real quick, shout out to these guys. Give them a call if you're in the area. You know, it's Roadside. I don't get to pick who, but they showed up sooner than the ETA time that they texted. We'll show you guys what broke when we get back to the house. In other news, though, I did tune the pump a little bit, and we managed to squeeze 41 miles to the gallon coming up here over the weekend, as opposed to the 33 miles per gallon I saw driving it home. Pump was turned up way too much. It was smoking if you even breathed at the gas pedal too hard. So turned it back a bit. It's still a little too rich, but you know what? 41 miles per gallon is pretty good. I was doing like 70, 75 the whole way here. Try to stay around 70, but 70, 75, still getting 41 miles to the gallon. Like you can't go wrong with it. We already did a video talking about what it's like daily driving an old Volkswagen, or more specifically a Mark 1 Volkswagen. And though this isn't a Mark 1, it's a Mark 1. But this is kind of part 2 to that video, because that first video was just us standing around in the garage talking about, you know, the previous troubles I had. Now we're dealing with troubles in the flesh. Well, this is the actual what it's like to daily drive an old Volkswagen. Now, I know you guys haven't really seen this car much on the channel, but this is our new 1980 Volkswagen Dasher. And I do have a video coming out about the ordeal that we went through with picking up this car and driving it home 20-something hours. It was a very nerve-wracking experience. Uneventful, luckily, which is a good thing. but it was a very nerve-wracking experience, and you guys will see that video in a week or a few, I don't know. We just put out the Volkscrack video last week with Eurocraft and People's Car Podcast talking about Roots Classic. Thank you everybody for the overwhelming support. When you do this stuff, you don't necessarily know what's going to be popular and what people are going to enjoy when you're making. Very happy with that video before I put it out, and I'm over the moon with everybody's response on it. But anyways, back to this car. So this is the new to me 1980 Dasher wagon with a Mark II 1.6 turbo diesel. And we're here 3 hours away from home. And this car has been my daily for the last 2 weeks. I have the van, I have the Silver Rabbit, I have the Lotus. I can drive those and daily drive those to work. Each one of those have their drawbacks, but this Dasher is the new daily. This is supposed to be the potential year-round daily. You guys might remember the 04 Passat wagon that I had, which I shouldn't have sold, but I've been looking for a Dasher wagon for a very long time. They never come up for sale, and when they do, they're usually roached. And this one is roached as well. This one's very clapped out, very shitty, which again, the video will come out in a few weeks showing a bit more detail on just how bad this car is, but I don't regret buying it. I was very close to walking away. Like 25% of me says I should have walked away, but I just knew that the good stuff about the car was good, as he described. The shitty stuff about it is shitty. This is a very shitty car, but the main parts of it that made me want to buy it are as good as I expected, if not better, so it's worth it. I spent a good 20 minutes walking back and forth, almost ready to walk away from this thing and fly back to New York with no car. But we bought it, so sorry to get sidetracked. And this video right now is just talking about what you have to deal with when you daily drive these, because we're 3.5 hours away from home. Rachel lives up in Syracuse, New York, and I live downstate close to New York City. It's about a 3.5 hour drive, 220 miles each way. We're a good ways away from home. It's Saturday. I have to be back at work by Tuesday morning. I gave my job the heads up that I might not be, but the reality is you will be broken down if you try to rely on one of these old cars as your main car. It's not a matter of if, it's when. And it's about whether or not you're prepared to work on it and fix it on the spot. Or, I mean, for example, if I really needed to, I could jump on a plane and fly home tomorrow. Maybe not tomorrow, but I could jump on a plane and get home, jump on a bus, whatever it would take to get home. I could get home and be okay, come back another week or two and fix this, but we're gonna fix this and then drive it home. If it takes me a few days to get the lines and fix it, that's what we'll do. Very simply, we lost an injector line. I have it safety wired into place right now, which is nowhere near a fix. When I opened the hood, this is what I saw. Saw the injector line just totally dislodged, cracked right at the injector, and all of this just covered in fuel. I started smelling fuel about 20 seconds before it started misfiring, so knew something was off before it started running like crap. Heavy diesel smell, knew something was wrong. And just for the sake of getting to the parking lot, so we could still get down to the water and cool off and at least relax, have a drink or two while we waited for the tow. Shout out to that tow company again, because within 2 hours they were there and they said 90 to 120 minutes they were going to be there. But we just knew it was going to be at least an hour or two. We walked down, and the simple quick fix, not that it even did much, but I did feel it run a bit better. It didn't want to stall out. I popped this back into place and safety wired it down. I loosened this up a bit so there's not as much tension on here. And even with this locked into place, it was spitting fuel everywhere. But it ran a bit better. It didn't want to stall out. We were at least able to do like 20 miles an hour to get to the parking spot and wait for the tow. And the reality is, I have a trunk full of tools right now, because if I'm driving this 3.5 hours away from home, I need to be ready to work on it. And luckily that's got a Mark II 1.6 turbo diesel, a bit more modern of a motor. But like, though I have a trunk full of tools, it doesn't matter if you can't find parts. And fortunately, that is a somewhat newer motor, but it's still a 20-something-year-old driveline in that car. I might be laid up here for 4 or 5 days waiting to get parts shipped to me. I'm going to try to find some stuff used to get me home. And it's funny because the injector lines, I've known that they crack. I've seen friends, you know, shout out to Ray Nestor. If you're watching this, you probably aren't. But I know Ray Nestor, a friend of mine local back home, struggled with cracked injector lines for a long time. And it was enough to make me realize, hey, if I ever own a diesel, I should keep spare lines in the car just to get me home. Usually if they keep cracking, there's a bigger issue at hand. There's little stabilizer clips that hold the lines in place. Yo, check out Mount Vesuvius up here. Fucking Megamind over here with that pimple. Look at that thing. I bet you if we stuck a needle in that thing facing backwards out of the dash here, we could get enough momentum to make it all the way back home downstate. Look at that thing. Glorious. What should we name it? Comment below what we should name this fucking pimple. Anyways, yeah, we're gonna try to find some used parts. It seems to be slim pickings with the community up here. As I mentioned earlier, if you're in the Syracuse area, hit me up, let me know. Because it goes both ways. If there's some of you up here who need parts, I can always bring them up from downstate. There's a ton of Mark 1 and 2 guys in North Jersey and Lower New York, New York City, Long Island, Pennsylvania. One hand washes the other. So something I've been thinking about more and more lately to try to get my finger on the pulse up here. And this isn't going to be the first breakdown. We're going to break down again. Let's see if we can find some used lines tomorrow. If not, we'll find a place to order some brand new lines online and hopefully get them here as soon as possible. I don't want to have to miss work. Ideally, I'd like to be back in time for work on Tuesday. So let's see if we can make that happen. Look, that is best case scenario to break down like that. We broke down where we were going to go swimming on a hot ass day. Like that's luck. That is all luck. It is not going to be even remotely as pleasant if you rely on one of these cars to get you to wherever you got to go every day, 7 days of the week. You're going to have a bad time. As long as you're prepared to have that bad time, send it. But just understand, I'm very fortunate to have a very flexible job. My job is slow in the summers. I can afford to call in and be like, hey, I might not make it to work till Thursday or Friday, you know? I'm not recommending this lifestyle. I've been here before, and you new subscribers are about to see it. We had a Golf R, Mark 7.5 Golf R for 2.5 years. And then after that, we had the Passat wagon, and we had a questionable car before that, the Suburban, to rely. Basically, I have one car on Geico. I have one car on my Geico policy at all times. That is the daily. I daily all of these cars, spring through fall, 7 days a week. But the daily, you could say, like the fallback car, the one that I know I'm going to jump in if I got to go grab something, is whatever car is on my Geico policy. Because chances are that's a car I don't give a fuck about. I don't care about the agreed value on it. I'm going to have to work something out with Geico on this car because I do care about this car. They'll give me like $1,500 if that thing gets totaled. No, we need like $4,000. If the Dasher gets totaled, we're into it for $3,500 so far with the cost of getting it home. I paid $2,900 for it. I need like $4,000 or $5,000 if something happens, it blows up or gets hit. Anyways, where was I going with that tangent? We're all over the place. This is it. It's showbiz, baby. It's showbiz. Frantic over here. It's been about 4 years since I relied on an old 80s car steadily to be my only way to get around. So you guys are about to see what that's like. The first few years that I did it, the first 5 or 6 years, was kind of uneventful. In a good way. I can't be having this conversation laying on a pillow. There's some pillow talk shit right now. So the Dasher is ready to go back home. We get the line in today. We ordered it on Saturday. It showed up here towards the end of the day, Tuesday, which they were closed Saturday and Sunday. So if I had ordered Monday, first thing in the morning, it probably would have been here. Same thing today. midday Tuesday. So yeah, paid as much for the line as I did for shipping to make sure it got here as soon as possible. It came a day early, so that's cool. Good to go, make it back to work. Maybe Wednesday, I might take a day off here to help Rachel with some stuff around the apartment, but yeah, we're good to go. We're back home, made it home no problem. Drive home last night, went without a hitch. And there's just a few other things I wanted to touch on that I didn't get a chance to while filming the other parts of this video. I mentioned briefly that we've been here before with daily driving old Volkswagens and old cars in general. I did about 10 years of Mark 1s and 2s, mainly the sport truck for 8 years, and another 2 or 3 years on top of that with other cars like old Mark 3s and Mark 2s. So we're no stranger to this, and my one piece of advice, I harped on it a bunch in the first video talking about daily driving a Mark 1. The key to doing this and minimizing the stress and the risks involved with it is having a second car, having a more reliable second car, or 2 or 3 other sort of reliable old shitty Volkswagens. So, right now I'm in really good shape. 4 of my 5 vehicles run and drive, so we're at an all-time high, personal record for me. But, I have a short commute. I have a 10-minute commute each way. If I break down on the way to work, I could literally walk and call in a tow and get a ride home from somebody else, and then drive one of my other cars to work while I fix it. So I'm very fortunate that I have this sort of work and home life that I can afford this, both with my physical space and mental capacity, because this is very stressful. It's a very stressful thing to try and do at times, and it's rewarding. I'm not sitting here trying to say like, oh, poor me, I'm driving old cars. I could sell the Lotus and one of the other cars and buy a brand new GTI if I really was that stressed out about it. But one is stressing about car payments, the other is stressing about breakdowns and spare parts. I mean, at all times, if I have a longer drive, I'll make sure I put tools in the trunk. As long as I got space for them, I'll load all my tools and bring them with me, just because I'd rather have them and not need them than to need them and not have them. I've always had some sort of roadside service assistance package, whatever you want to call it. I currently have Haggerty's 150 mile, I believe it is. It's whatever the best one they offer is. And as you guys are starting to put together, Rachel and I are in a long distance relationship, which is awesome. We love it. One of the downsides is that it's not necessarily the most responsible move for me to make relying on old cars. I've got the Lotus. The Lotus is a 2001 or 2. It was built. It's got a newer motor and transmission, from 2000, 2001, something like that. But that's not really a car that I'm going to be quick to make that drive. It's got no roof. I don't mind getting wet. But the dog is the biggest determining factor for that. He's not really going to be all too happy sitting in that race seat for 3.5 hours going upstate. So for all intents and purposes, the newest, most reliable car I own is an 81. So that's the other thing. That the Lotus is like a go-kart. It's a kit car. Stuff breaks on it. So I wouldn't necessarily say that's my most reliable car at the moment. So anyways, those are all things that you should consider, and again, that was absolute best case scenario, how I broke down and where I broke down. We were still able to enjoy the day, but there was a very good chance I could have had that breakdown halfway back from Iowa, bringing the car home, or we could have been stuck on a big, hot, open, no shade having highway and nothing in sight. We had plenty of food and water with us. We didn't have the dogs with us, so it would have been okay no matter where we broke down. But just understand, it's not if, but when.